The class today is on sulfonamides. Okay. Now sulfonamides, they are the first synthetic antimicrobial agent for the treatment of the acute pyogenic infection. It was first discovered that Prontosil, it was a red colored dye that was used by Dogmac to treat experimentally streptococcal infection induced in mice. Later on, the drug Prontosil was used in an infant to treat staphylococcal septicemia, which was 100% fatal in 1930s. Now, in 1937, it was found out that Prontosil, basically in the body, they break down to release sulfanilamide, which is the active antimicrobial principle here. And later on, various or large number of sulfonamides were derived or basically prepared from this sulfanilamide. However, with the use of sulfonamide, it was seen there was rapid emergence of bacterial resistance, and because of the availability of the other safer and more effective antibiotics, the clinical utility of sulfonamides has declined, and it is now primarily used in combination with trimethoprim as cotrimoxazole or pyrimethamine for the treatment of chloroquine resistant malaria and in toxoplasmosis. Now coming to the chemistry, as we discussed that all sulfonamides, they are derived from sulfanilamide. Now this is a chemical structure of sulfonamide. Basically there is a para-aminobenzene ring at the C1 terminal, there the sulfonamide radical is attached, ASO2 NH2, and there is an amino radical at the fourth carbon, that is the para position, P position. Now alteration or substitution of N1 atom here basically leads to various sulfonamides available, and this as per the substitution at N1, they differ in different pharmacokinetic properties, and this the amino radical at the C4 atom basically responsible for the antimicrobial action or pharmacodynamic action. Now, how we classify sulfonamides? Sulfonamides can be short acting, can be intermediate acting 8 to 12 hours, can be long acting around 7 days, 5 to 9 days, and can be used for a special purpose like topical or as an anti-inflammatory action. Now, we are coming one by one. The short acting include sulfadiazine, the intermediate acting include sulfamethoxazole, long acting one sulfadoxine, sulfomethopyrazine, special purpose sulfacetamide sodium, that is used for ocular instillation as eye drops, as mafenide, silver sulfadiazine topically in the burnt lesions, and sulfasalazine in the treatment of ulcerative colitis and rheumatoid arthritis. Now, antimicrobial spectrum, they are effective in gram positive and gram negative bacteria. They are bacteriostatic. What do we mean by bacteriostatic? Sorry? The bacteriostatic agents, they basically suppress the growth of the organism, and bactericidal, they kill the organism. So they are so sulfonamides are bacteriostatic. They are bacteriostatic against many gram positive and gram negative bacteria. However, in urine, bactericidal concentration is achieved. They are with time, there is rapid emergence of resistance to the drug. However, they are still sensitive to Streptococcus pyogenes, Haemophilus species like Haemophilus ducreyi and influenzae, Calymattobacterium granulomatis, Vibrio cholerae, chlamydia that cause trachoma and inclusion conjunctivitis in the eye, and lymphogranuloma venereum as STD. They are also effective against actinomyces, nocardia and Toxoplasma gondii. But many organisms are now resistant to the drug that include Staph aureus, Gonococci, Meningococci, Pneumococci, E. coli, Shigella, and even to the anaerobic bacteria they are resistant. Now, how they act? Mechanism of action of sulfonamides. Now, before that, we should understand how the folic acid is formed or synthesized in the bacteria. Bacteria synthesize their own folic acid for basically for the synthesis of nucleic acids, while humans they get folic acid from the food. Now, bacteria what they do, basically they use para-aminobenzoic acid PABA from the medium, and that combines with stearoic acid in the presence of the enzyme dihydrostearoic acid synthetase, leading to the formation of dihydrostearoic acid. Now, that conjugate with glutamate, leading to the formation of dihydrofolic acid. Now, this dihydrofolic acid is reduced by dihydrofolate reductase, leading to the formation of tetrahydrofolic acid, which is the active moiety responsible for the synthesis of nucleic acids. Now, what happens? These sulfonamides, they inhibit the enzyme dihydrostearoic acid synthetase, so that folic acid is not formed in the bacteria, number one. Now, number two, they are basically, number two, sulfonamides, they are structural analog of para-aminobenzoic acid. When we consider the structure of para-aminobenzoic acid, this is para-aminobenzoic acid and this is sulfonamides. So, those sulfonamides, they are structural analog of the para-aminobenzoic acid. As a result, the sulfonamides, they basically combine with stearoic acid, leading to the formation of faulty folic acid that is injurious to the bacteria. These are the two mechanisms by which sulfonamides are showing antimicrobial activity. Now, human cells also require folic acid, but they utilize preformed folic acid present in the diet and are unaffected by the sulfonamides. Pus and tissue extracts, they contain purines and pyrimidines, and hence it decreases bacterial requirement for folic acid and thus antagonize sulfonamide action. So, sulfonamides are ineffective in presence of pus. Now, coming to the resistance to sulfonamides, most bacteria are developing resistance to the sulfonamides. Prominent among them are Gonococci, Pneumococci, Meningococci, E. coli, Shigella, Staph aureus, certain Streptococcus pyogenes, viridans and anaerobic bacteria. The resistant mutants either produce increased amount of PABA, para-aminobenzoic acid, number one, or their folate synthetase enzyme has lower affinity to the sulfonamides, or they adapt an alternative pathway in the folate metabolism. When an organism is resistant to one sulfonamide, it is resistant to all the sulfonamides. However, there is no cross resistance between the sulfonamide and other antimicrobial agents. Coming to pharmacokinetics, they are rapidly and basically nearly completely absorbed from the gastrointestinal tract protein binding capacity varies among the different sulfonamides ranging from 10 to 95%. The one having higher plasma protein binding are longer acting. They are widely distributed in the body. They enter the serous cavity. They can cross the blood-brain barrier and enter the CSF. They can cross placenta freely. They are metabolized at the N4. They are metabolized by acetylation at N4 by the enzyme N-acetyl transferase. There are slow and fast acetylators, but that is clinically insignificant. The acetylated derivative is inactive. Now, this acetylated derivative basically is precipitate in acidic urine and can cause crystalluria. So, crystalluria can be prevented in a patient on sulfonamide by plenty of fluid intake and by alkalinizing the urine as they precipitate in acidic urine. The more lipid soluble members are highly reabsorbed in the tubule, therefore they are longer acting. Now coming to the first, short acting sulfonamide is a prototype of general purpose sulfonamide. Now it has good penetrability in the brain, can cross blood-brain barrier, and hence it was a preferred compound initially for the treatment of meningitis, but has been replaced by other effective antimicrobial agents. Sulfamethoxazole, now it has got a half-life of around 10 hours, and hence it is preferentially combined with trimethoprim to form 4-trimethoxazole, as both of them are having similar half-lives. So sulfamethoxazole is preferred compound for combining with trimethoprim. However, a higher fraction of the drug is acetylated and hence can cause crystalluria. Coming to the basically long-acting drug, sulfadoxine sulfamethopyrazine. They are ultra long-acting, T-half around more than 1 week, and they are effective against the chloroquine-resistant Plasmodium falciparum malaria, pneumocystis jirovecii pneumonia in the AIDS patient and in neutropenia patient. However, they can cause serious cutaneous reaction. Sulfacetamide sodium, they are used in the eye as topical instillation. Now they are effective against chlamydia and chlamydia including ophthalmia neonatorum caused by chlamydia oculogenitalis. It attains higher concentration in the anterior segment and aqueous humor after topical instillation. Coming to the mafenide, it is used topically over the skin in the burnt tissue. They are active in the presence of pus and against Pseudomonas. They are used as for burn dressing to prevent infection, but they are ineffective in established infection in the burnt tissue. The biggest limitation is that they cause burning sensation and severe pain when applied to the raw surface. And when applied to the raw surface, the drug is systemically absorbed, and the drug mafenide and its metabolites, they are carbonic anhydrase inhibitor. As a result, they basically cause alkalinize the urine, causing metabolic acidosis and hyperventilation. Mafenide must not be applied over large area. Allergic reaction, particularly rashes, also occur. Silver sulfur diazine again is used in the burnt tissue to prevent infection, but they are ineffective in the established infection. Now, it slowly releases silver ions, and these silver ions are primarily responsible for their antimicrobial action. They are effective against a large number of bacteria and fungi, and even to those resistant to other sulfonamides like Pseudomonas. These are one of the most effective drugs for preventing infection of burnt tissue and chronic ulcer. Local side effects like burning sensation and itch can be there. Sulfasalazine, they are used for the treatment of inflammatory bowel disease and in the treatment of basically rheumatoid arthritis. Now this sulfasalazine, basically it is taken up orally in the colon. It breaks up into two compounds, sulfapyridine and 5-amino-salicylic acid. Now this sulfapyridine is absorbed systemically and is used and is primarily responsible for its efficacy in rheumatoid arthritis. While again this 5-amino-salicylic acid is not absorbed and acts locally in the colon for the treatment of inflammatory bowel disease. What are the adverse effects? Common nausea, vomiting, epigastric pain. Crystalluria can occur and it can be avoided by fluid intake and alkalinizing the urine. Hypersensitivity reactions can occur in 2 to 5% patients, manifested as fever, rashes, urticarial lesions. Stevens-Johnson syndrome, exfoliative dermatitis are the serious reactions which warrant discontinuation of the therapy. Hepatitis can occur in 0.1% of the patient. Ocular use is permitted. Topical application should be cautiously used. Hemolysis can be seen in G6PD deficient individual, and kernicterus may be seen in neonate or the newborn, especially premature. Why? Because the sulfonamide, they displaces bilirubin from the protein binding site. Unconjugated bilirubin can cross blood-brain barrier, and this newborn, particularly preterm infant baby, the blood-brain barrier is more permeable. As a result, they cross the blood-brain barrier, deposit in the brain, causing kernicterus. Coming to interaction, sulfonamide displaces phenytoin, tolbutamide, warfarin from protein binding site and basically inhibit their metabolism, enhancing their action. They displace methotrexate from protein binding site and decrease its renal excretion, causing toxicity. Now coming to the use of sulfonamide has recently been declined because of the rapid emergence of resistance and because of availability of more cost effective or safer antibiotics. Now, however, combined with trimethoprim used as cotrimoxazole, it is used in many bacterial infections, Pneumocystis carinii, Pneumocystis jirovecii pneumonia, and in nocardiosis. Again, when combined with pyrimethamine, they are used for the treatment of malaria and toxoplasmosis. The ocular sulfacetamide sodium can be used in chlamydia infection, particularly trachoma inclusion conjunctivitis. And the topical therapy of sulfonamide on skin, they can be used in burnt tissue to prevent the infections. Cotrimoxazole, the next drug. Here is the basically fixed dose combination of sulfamethoxazole with trimethoprim. Now trimethoprim is a diaminopyrimidine. Basically they inhibit the dihydrofolate reductase and hence inhibit the formation of tetrahydrofolic acid. Now why this sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim is combined here? Because they have relatively similar half-life, around 10 hours, number one, and number two is they on combining them, they have got synergistic activity. Now, this sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim, it has been seen that the optimum synergistic activity is achieved in the body when the plasma concentration ratio of the two drugs, sulfamethoxazole is to trimethoprim, is 20:1. And this plasma concentration ratio can be achieved when the two drug is taken in the oral dose ratio of 5:1. So these drugs are combined in a dosage form ratio of 5:1. Now what does they cause? They cause sequential blockage of folate metabolism. Sulfonamide, they inhibit dihydroteroic acid synthetase enzyme and being structural analog of para-aminobenzoic acid, they cause formation of faulty folic acid injuring the bacteria. And again, this trimethoprim basically inhibit dihydrofolate reductase, inhibiting the formation of folic acid. Individually, both sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim, they are bacteriostatic agent, but when they are combined together as cotrimoxazole, they become bactericidal to many organisms. Spectrum of action, they are effective in organism that were sensitive to even sulfonamides. Apart from that, they are also effective against Salmonella typhi, Serratia, Klebsiella, Enterobacter, Yersinia enteropolitica, Pneumocystis jirovecii pneumonia, and many sulfonamide resistant strains of Staph aureus, Streptococcus pyogenes, Shigella, Meningococci, Pneumococci, E. coli, H. influenzae, and others. Now, resistance to trimethoprim is achieved via plasmid mediated acquisition of dihydrofolate reductase enzyme having lower affinity to the drug. Adverse effect basically similar to that of sulfonamide, that include nausea, vomiting, stomatitis, headache, and rashes. Folate deficiency can be seen in marginal folate levels. Blood dyscrasia can occur, but they are rare. They should not be given in the newborn. Why? In the pregnant mother, sorry. Why? Because of the risk of teratogenicity, number one. Number two, there is a high incidence of neonatal hemolysis. And number three, it can cause methemoglobinemia. Those should be reduced in severe renal failure. A high incidence of hypersensitivity reactions like fever and rashes can be seen in patients taking cotrimoxazole in AIDS patient for the treatment of Pneumocystis jirovecii pneumonia. This is because they are taken at high dose. The elderly are also at greater risk of bone marrow toxicity. Diuretics should not be combined with cotrimoxazole for the risk of thrombocytopenia. Now, uses of cotrimoxazole, it is used in urinary tract infection. In uncomplicated urinary tract infection, it is used for the treatment of acute cystitis, in the lower and the upper urinary tract infection, and even it is particularly used for the treatment of chronic or recurrent urinary tract infection and in the treatment of prostatitis. Because why it is used in prostatitis? Because trimethoprim is concentrated in prostate. Respiratory tract infection, they are effective in both upper and lower respiratory tract infection, including otitis media, faciomagillary infections caused by gram-positive cocci and Haemophilus influenzae. Bacterial diarrhea and dysentery, they are effective in infective diarrheas caused by E. coli, Shigella, non-typhoid Salmonella, Yersinia. However, fluoroquinolones are preferred here, but they can be an alternative therapy. Pneumocystis jirovecii pneumonia caused in the patient of AIDS or neutropenia. Here, cotrimoxazole can be used as a therapeutic drug, as a prophylactic drug. For therapeutic efficacy, they are required in high dose, and many of the patients cannot tolerate and the drug has to be discontinued. While it can be used for prophylactic purpose also, where the drug is better tolerated. Chancroid, here cotrimoxazole is used, but the preferred drugs are ceftriaxone, azithromycin, ciprofloxacin. Typhoid, it was an alternative drug to chloramphenicol. However, it is unreliable and seldom used now. They are also used to protect a granulocytosis patient, alternative to penicillin. Now, these are some of the questions. the synergistic bactericidal action of cotrimoxazole is due to কি হবে? The synergistic bactericidal action of cotrimoxazole. What is cotrimoxazole? It is a fixed dose combination of which drugs? Cotrimoxazole is a fixed dose combination of which drugs? Cotrimoxazole is a fixed dose combination of a sulfonamide sulfamethoxazole, which is an intermediate acting drug, with trimethoprim. Now, how the synergistic bactericidal action of cotrimoxazole is due to which of the following? কি হবে? How is sulfonamide is acting? Mechanism of action of sulfonamide কে বলবে? Mechanism of action of sulfonamide কি আছে? কে বলতে পারবে? হ্যাঁ, ব্যাকটেরি ব্যাকটেরিওস্ট্যাটিক কি ব্যাকটেরিসাইডাল জিজ্ঞাসা করিনি। হাউ ইজ সালফোনামাইড অ্যাক্টিং? এটা কি করছে? এটা প্রোটিন সিনথেসিস ইনহিবিট করছে, নিউক্লিক অ্যাসিড সিনথেসিস ইনহিবিট করছে, কি করছে এটা? হ্যাঁ, সরি, জোরে বল একটু। Basically, it is inhibiting nucleic acid synthesis by inhibiting the synthesis of folic acid. Now, at which level it is acting? Basically, folic acid is synthesized from para-aminobenzoic acid. Now, it is inhibiting the formation of dihydroteroic acid, okay, from para-aminobenzoic acid with pteridine residue. This is number one mechanism. Number two mechanism কি আছে? It's an structural analog to the para-aminobenzoic acid. As a result, faulty folic acid is produced that is harmful to the bacteria. How is trimethoprim acting? Mechanism of action of trimethoprim. এটা কি করছে? It is also inhibiting folic acid synthesis by inhibiting the enzyme dihydrofolate reductase. So at two levels, sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim are inhibiting the synthesis of folic acid, and hence the synergistic activity is achieved due to sequential blockade of folate synthetic pathway. Number two, in a standard cotrimoxazole formulation, what is the fixed dose ratio of sulfamethoxazole to trimethoprim in the dosage form? কি হবে আর কেন? It should be 5:1. It has been seen that the optimum synergistic activity of the drug cotrimoxazole can be achieved when the plasma concentration ratio of the either drug sulfamethoxazole is to trimethoprim is 20:1, and to achieve this plasma concentration ratio the drug has to be taken in the oral dosage ratio of 5:1. Cotrimoxazole is a drug of choice for which of the following opportunistic infection in HIV/AIDS patient? It's pneumocystis jirovecii pneumonia. Which adverse effect is characteristic of sulfonamide and can be prevented by taking fluid and alkalinizing urine? It's crystalluria. Why crystalluria is occurring with sulfonamide? Because the acetylated metabolite precipitate in acidic urine. That is causing crystalluria. Sulfonamide are strictly contraindicated in which of the following groups? due to the risk of kernicterus. In neonate, in basically neonate. Why kernicterus is occurring? Sulfonamides are highly plasma protein bound, They displaces bilirubin from the plasma protein site. As a result, free bilirubin is available to cross the blood-brain barrier. This blood-brain barrier is highly permeable in the neonate and in the preterm baby, leading to the high risk of kernicterus. Cotrimoxazole should be avoided in which condition? Asthma, G6PD deficiency, diabetes, hypothyroidism. G6PD deficiency, risk of hemolysis.